Hey everyone, this is Corey with Stafford's EDC, and today I'm going to be giving you my full review on this quiet carry chase as I miss the flip. So, something really cool about this quiet carry is that it's not mine. This is for Michael over at Sharpen Blade, but the previous owner of this is a fellow YouTuber, Tri-State EDC. So I will tag Cole Tri-State's channel down below, and with that out of the way, let's get into some size comparisons and some specs. It is a pretty small knife, not tiny by any means, but just smaller on the EDC side, with a 2.95 inch blade, a handle length of 3.96 inches. So you're getting an overall length of, it's not listed on the site, so you're roughly looking at like 7 inches overall, just about. You can see here that there is a decent sized handle, and the blade, you're not really missing too much here. The Benchmades blade is longer, but not by a whole lot, and you can see it's definitely not as tiny as the Victorinox. Now, this particular version that you're looking at no longer exists for purchase anyway, and that's because this is from the original Kickstarter. Now, I forget the name of this handle material, and I was not able to find it, but it is this really neat, kind of like, it reminds me of space. I don't really know what else to call it, but it's got this greenish blue hue and these silver areas that are they look textured, but it's nice and smooth. So I don't really know what to call this, but it's a really neat handle material. And it's on both sides, and you can see how that continues through the edge where it's chamfered. So I don't know if it's some kind of resin-based handle material or what, but you can see how, it's the whole length of the material. It's not just an overlay kind of thing. No, it's not. That's just where the chamfer ends. You can see there's a slight distinction right there, but that's just where the chamfer ends. It's not on any other kind of material. But really, really cool material, and just kind of neat looking that you don't see this kind of thing a lot. And I don't know if they ever offered these with the original purchases or not, but these were an option from the Kickstarter, as I said. And another thing that makes this a Kickstarter model is the blade steel, which is N690. If you wanted to buy one of these right now off of the Quiet Carry website, they have these available in 20 CV, and they also have LC200M available. So keep that in mind. You're not going to find an N690 version unless you're finding a used one on the secondary market from the original Kickstarter. Now, this knife is running on phosphor bronze, so the action is not crazy drop shut or anything, but it certainly does shake shut a little bit, and then you can kind of just push it the rest of the way, or if you give it a little wrist, you can get it to shake shut, but it's definitely not going to drop on you or anything like that. The detent is pretty good. I kind of looked weird there, but it flips open pretty easily with the thumb, and it's got good detent for middle flicking, and I think that has a lot to do with the geometry of this as well, but that is something that I'm not 100% sure of. You can hear the detent when it closes. It's a nice solid thud. It's kind of this weird quiet, it's not as tingy or pingy as you'd expect from hearing steel on steel, but that nice soft close is kind of a I'm trying to think of the exact term that I want to use, and it's a very positive, that's probably not what I'm thinking of, but I'm going to roll with it. Like, it's positive feedback is what I'm trying to say, that it is closing hard. It's a solid kind of sound. Even though it's not your typical sound, it is pretty solid. Now, this does carry pretty nicely with this deep carry clip. You can see it's attached inside of the handle there. This is going to be right hand carry only. So there is an internal clip screw, nothing here from the outside, but it does carry really nicely. You can see there's no knife sticking out of this pocket, minus maybe if it's sitting on an angle, the very butt of the knife, but you're not going to see that. Very sleek matte black clip. One thing I don't like about this clip is the severe lack of ramp. There's plenty of spring to it, but the ramp is really tiny, which makes this kind of a pain to get into pants that are a little thicker. But jeans, things like that, this ramp is just enough to get over the edge of, and there's not a whole lot of clearance under here. So if you're wearing sweatpants or something like that, this isn't the best to clip onto the pocket. Something that is definitely worth noting about this knife is the weight. You're looking at about 3.1 ounces here. So it is not what most people would define as being a lightweight knife in terms of blade to weight ratio. But it is nice and light in the sense that it's not heavy. It's only 3 ounces, and it really doesn't feel like it. You think about knives like the bug out here. If you were to ask me which one's heavier, I can tell you that the Quiet Carry is heavier, but not by a lot. I mean, this is even wearing titanium scales, so this is weighing roughly 2.5 ounces. So you're asking someone to determine a half an ounce in weight, and it's really, really tough. Even like switching these back and forth, it's hard to tell. You're really not going to notice the weight on this, and it's really not a problem, but it is worth mentioning for people who want to stay in that super light category. Last but not least, I do want to talk about the blade and obviously cutting performance as well as ergonomics. So the blade stock thickness on this is 0.104, which is a really odd blade stock to choose rather than just 0.01. I mean, maybe that is something that they changed and they're thinking it up a little bit, but it's that's what they're saying on their website. And if I grab my calipers here, these are not extremely accurate. It's probably going to say 1.0. Yep, 1.0 for the blade stock. And if you care about the millimeter measurements, you're at 2.5, 2.6, depending on 2.5, 2.6. Yeah, so roughly somewhere between those two numbers then. But regardless, it's a thin blade, and it has a flat grind on here, which comes to a reasonably thin edge. It's not a crazy thin edge, but it is thin stock. So cutting with this is actually really nice. It doesn't hang up on anything, and there's no thumb stud or anything, obviously, to catch. So you're able to use the entire length of this cutting edge really nicely with no issues, which is something that I really appreciate in a knife. So yeah, blade is good to go on this guy. Last but not least, let's talk about the ergos. So you can see, just because you need access to the thumb hole, you end up with this big cutout here, which has decent access to the liner lock. You can get in there with really no problem. But ergonomically, it's really good. Maybe not where you thought I was going with that, but the way that this curve is set up here, it's perfect for how much pressure I kind of want to have from each of these fingers. Now, you could complain a little bit about the inside edges of these being a little sharp, but I mean, it's not going to cut your nail or anything like that. It's just because it's thin, you might feel it on your fingers, but the shape is really comfortable. Now, whether you're holding it like this or even more of a hammer type grip, there's really no complaints from me ergonomically. As I said, the fingers wrap really nicely, just like this, and the jimping is nice, and it makes it really, really nice to cut with. The pocket clip having such little ramp and being so thin actually makes it an advantage for the ergos, because it's landing right in this area here, and there's really nothing sticking up and protruding to make that uncomfortable. So that is something that is really great, working in tandem there. Overall, just a really nice handle design, and makes it an excellent knife in hand. Certainly no issues cutting with this guy through cardboard or anything else. Not going to run into ergonomic issues at all. Now, if there were things I would change about this knife, I mean, I'd love to see the action improve, but maybe it is better on the newer ones, and it is on washers, so, I'm not going to hold it entirely against it. I do like the fact that they did upgrade the steel on these. Price-wise, these are $110 for 20 CV and $135 for LC200N. So, I mean, are you going to find 20CV cheaper than $110? I really don't think you are. I mean, let's be honest. What if you know a knife where you can get either of those steels for that nice of a price? Let me know. I mean, I know the Spyderco Salt series, the Pacifics have the LC200N, but I mean, if you want a lock back, sure, but you have a liner lock here, and yeah, you do have steel hardware and steel liners, but if you wanted a rust-proof blade, it's certainly an option. But I mean, 20 CV at this price is phenomenal. You're not going to find it that cheap anywhere else. The one exception I can think of that, and it's because it's an equivalent steel, is the Asher Nomad frame lock in M390. And that's something that he has been having some trouble keeping in stock because people are really loving it. But, you know, so there's two options that I can think of to get 20 CV for such a great price. I mean, you know, you be the judge of that, but it's a really nice knife overall. And if I was looking to get a good knife for $100 that'll perform really well, I'd absolutely go for the 20 CV version. And if I had any suggestions for quiet carry, it'd be to bring this handle material back. Unless there's some major issues with it, why not give the option? I mean, they have a bunch of colors of G10. And when I say a bunch, I mean they have black, pink, and orange. And you can get either one of those colors with... sorry. I don't know where I was going with that. With either steel is what I was saying. You can get either black G10, pink G10, or orange G10 with either steel. And there is also a version of each with the coated blade, but that is just for black G10. They don't offer the coated blade with any of the colored G10. So keep that in mind if you are going to shop for these. Currently, the only LC200N one in stock is pink, and the only 20 CV ones in stock are pink and orange. So that is as of time of filming, which is March 17th. So keep that in mind if you're going to be going to buy one of these. That's going to be it from me. This is a neat knife that I'm happy I got to check out, and that I think Michael over from Sharp and Blade is really going to enjoy this one. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.